So we're in OpenStax statistics, and this is section 10.3. So now we're going to talk about comparing two different population proportions. So we're focusing on two proportions for independent populations. And of course, it's how do we set that up? Well, we have to, of course, understand there are some assumptions, as there always are about populations. So with populations, we assume there are two independent samples and that they are simple random samples and that they are independent from each other. The number of successes needs to be at least 5, and the number of failures needs to be at least 5. And growing literature states that the population must be at least 10 or 20 times the size of the sample. This keeps the population from being oversampled or causing incorrect results. This is something you're very unlikely to have to worry about in a statistics class, but if you become a researcher, it's something that you'd have to worry about. Now, since we have two populations, we will need different proportion formulas to account for each population. So the logic of a hypothesis is still the same, but just like before, we just need different formulas. And in this case, I'm going to tell you it's quite a few formulas. So we need to know what is the proportion from each population. So notice when we're coming up with sample proportions, we still use that prime notation, but now we're denoting it as P prime A and P prime B. So this comes from population A, population B, same calculation as before. We have a new metric, the pooled proportion, where I add up the numerators and denominators from my P primes. The standard deviation comes from the pooled proportion, and I should probably put that this is really your standard error, is maybe the better way to think of this. So we have the pooled proportion goes into this. So I take the pooled proportion times 1 minus the pooled proportion times 1 over n sub a plus 1 over n sub b, and take the square root of all this. And then we have the test statistic. So this is going to be the proportion from, you take the difference of the two proportions and then subtract the theoretical difference between the two. Now, once again, this part here, this is typically just going to be 0. I'll go ahead and mention that. So you take the difference of your two sample proportions and then divide by the standard error. So very similar, just again, it's different because it's proportions. And of course, this is now one I like to mention. I do have a formula sheet for all of these. So you are free to go, if you are using my notes, I will have it just included in the notes deck. But I personally, there's a lot of formulas for chapter 10. So I always like to let my students know, at least if you're in my class, I tend to just give that formula sheet on the exam. Just because it's a lot and there's already so many other formulas to remember. So for chapter 10, I do give you guys a break and let you use this formula sheet on the exam. So just a heads up on that, and you can check out the formula sheet. It's in your notes already. If you're not in my class, but you want to use a formula sheet, again, it's in the notes at Divide and Conquer if you're using my notes, or you can just find the formula sheet under the chapter 10 materials for this video. Okay, so onwards. So let's just jump into the examples now. So we have here that two types of medication for hives are being tested to determine if there's a difference in the proportions of adult patient reactions. So 20 out of a random sample of 200 given medication A still had hives 30 minutes after taking the medication. 12 out of another random sample of 200 adults given medication B still had hives after 30 minutes after taking the medication. So we're going to test at the 1% level of significance. Okay, so it's still the same stuff, friends. So we've been doing this now for several sections, same set of questions. So let's go through these. So first things first, is this a test of two means or two proportions? Now we're doing a test of two proportions. You always want to take that moment to ask yourself that. And since it's proportions, so proportions always use the normal distribution. We never use student's t. The random variable is going to be the difference in the proportion of adult patients who did not react to the medication after 30 minutes. And so the whole thing is that this is just about, is there a difference, right? That's the only question. Is there a difference? So look at how we set up the null and alternative hypotheses. It's the same logic as before, right? So instead of having two means, now I have two proportions. And I just have it equal and not equal to. So very, very consistent with what we've seen before. And I forgot to include this, so I just snuck this in at the bottom. This is obviously a two-tailed test. Okay, so let's go to the Excel. Okay, so here we are at the Excel spreadsheet, and I did write down the formulas just to help you out with the first one. But okay, so I have not organized any information, so we need to also organize the information. So we're going to have our group, we're going to have our X, we're going to have our N. Let's see, maybe I'll just put in the P prime here. We can go ahead and calculate that. Let's see, what else do we need? I think that's everything that we need, right? So I have group A and group B. So for group A, so it was 20 out of 200, so 20 out of 200. And then for group B, it was 12 out of 200. And you know me, I like everything centered. And then I take my X over my N for each of these. So now I've got that proportion that I need. Okay, so got all of that good stuff. So next, let's work on the pooled proportion, because we need the pooled proportion to calculate our standard error, which kind of works as like a standard deviation. So for the pooled proportion, so now I'm going to take X, both X's, add them up. Don't forget your parentheses, folks. You got to have the order of operations, and then you need another set of parentheses for the denominator. So there's my pooled proportion of 0.08, and then we need to get to the standard error. Now, the standard error, so just as a reminder, like sometimes these calculations get a little overwhelming to do. So you could also break it up into like the inside piece. So I've got the pooled proportion times 1 minus the pooled proportion times 1 over the first n plus 1 over the second n. So that's just getting to the inside. And then you could take the square root separate. You can do all of this together in one calculation. I just always like to remind you that like sometimes these are just a lot to do. And if you are making frequent algebra errors in your formulas, then you might want to just break it up. And I'll just open this up one more time just so you guys can see what I did. So pooled proportion, 1 minus the pooled proportion, 1 over the first n plus 1 over the second n. So this is what I got. Okay, so now let's find our test statistic. So I'm going to take the first proportion, P sub A, minus the second proportion. Don't forget your parentheses. And then we just divide all of that by our standard error. So that's going to be my test statistic. So now we're going to draw it on a graph. Oops, let's get this. There we go. And here's 1.47. Now remember, this is a two-tailed test, so I'm going to put this on both sides. And so now I have to find these areas. So let's start with the test statistic that we found. So I'm going to find the probability that X is greater than the test statistic. I'm going with greater than the test statistic because the test statistic ended up positive, so I just want to like maintain the test statistic as is. So I'm going to take 1 minus norm dot s dot dist, take the test statistic, and true. So there's this area, but remember, we're getting to a p-value. So for the p-value, I'm going to take 2 times this test statistic. So for my conclusion, I see here that I have 0.14 is of course greater than 0.01, so we do not reject the null. There is not sufficient evidence that there is a difference between the medications. So yeah, so there's not sufficient evidence. So that would really mean, what would that mean for you? It doesn't really matter which medication you take. They seem right now like they are probably about equal. At least that's the evidence that we have. Okay, so we have one more example. So are freshman psychology majors less likely to change their majors before they graduate compared to freshman business majors? So we have 412 out of 629 freshman psychology majors from a recent study changed their major before they graduated, and 452 of 660 freshman business majors changed their major before they graduated. So what can be concluded at the 0.05 level of significance? Okay, so now you've seen an example of this. So let's first start with just questions A through F. So answer those, hit play when you're ready. So going through A through F, clearly we have proportions, so we don't have to worry about the standard deviations. Since we're working with proportions, we're going to be using the normal distribution. We're looking at the difference in the proportion of students who change their major. And remember, the first sentence said, so just to go back to this, are psychology majors less likely to change their major compared to business majors? So I just to keep everything straight, I labeled this as P sub P and P sub B. So the alternative needs to be that psychology is less likely than business. This is going to be a less than, so the null will just be the reverse. So this ends up being a left-tailed test, right? Okay, now let's go to the Excel spreadsheet, and I would encourage you to finish this example completely on your own. Okay, so if hopefully you gave this a try. If not, I am going to just give you some suggestions to work through this kind of alongside me. So the first thing I would expect you to do is to organize the information and just get all of these calculations first. So if you haven't done that, I would suggest you pause here and at least start with that. So I have my group, so I'm going to have my psychology, so I'll just call this P and B for business. So P for psychology, B for business. I'm going to have my N, let's see, actually I'll start with my X, my N, my P prime. Those are the pieces of information that I need. So for psychology, it's 412 out of 629, and then it's 452 out of 660. And so I just need to come up with the proportion for each of those. Okay, so here's my information organized. Okay, so now I need my pooled proportion. So I'm going to take my X's, don't forget your parentheses, divided by, don't forget your parentheses, your N's. Classic mistake is to forget the parentheses. For the standard error, okay, so you can either do this in one calculation or you could do the inside first. So you take that pooled proportion times 1 minus the pooled proportion times 1 over the first N plus 1 over the second N, and then you can take the square root of all that. Totally fine if you did it all in one calculation. And then we need our test statistic. So I'm going to take first proportion minus the second proportion. Don't forget your parentheses. All of that divided by the square root. So there's my test statistic. Okay, and that's great because so this is a left-tailed test. So the test statistic should end up on the left tail. So this is going to be negative 1.139. Okay, so now to get to the p-value, I'm going to take norm.s.dist, take my test stat, true, so there's my p-value, pretty big. So my conclusion is that 0.0127 is greater than 0.05, so we do not reject the null. So there is not sufficient evidence that psychology majors change their major less than business majors, or that they are less likely to. Okay, so that's it for that one. So hopefully this was helpful, and we have one more section to go after this.